There's a moment when you no longer need another explanation, another excuse, another promise. It's that exact minute when the phone goes mute, the door stays silent, the message doesn't arrive, and your whole body understands something your mind still wants to deny. Silence isn't a void. It's an answer. And it hurts like someone shutting windows from the inside. There are no shouts, no fight, no goodbye, only an absence that weighs. It's curious. Noise wounds, but silence disarms. I don't know where you are today. Maybe you're replaying one last conversation and looking for the tiny crack where tenderness slipped out. Maybe you've been waiting for weeks for a "how are you?" that never appears. Maybe you sleep with your eyes open because, if you fall asleep, you fear missing the chance that they finally write to you. I've been there. I've held imaginary conversations in the shower, spiraled while staring at the ceiling, felt shame for needing so much. That's why today I want to speak to you as I would to the woman I was. Without drama, without concessions, with the sobriety that time grants, and the dignity you learn late, but still in time. Before we go on, I'm really curious to know where in the world you're joining from and what time it is there. I'd love to read you in the comments. I want you to know something from the start. You aren't broken for feeling this way. You aren't too much. It's not that you don't know how to love. You're human, and you're reacting to a real disconnection with your whole nervous system, with your memories, with your fears, and with that part of you that, as a child, learned to wait at the door until someone finally came. When you're ignored, it's not just the present that hurts. Old memories light up, even if you can't name them. That's why silence doesn't feel like nothing. It feels like abandonment. And abandonment, in the body, pulses like an alarm. There are many types of silence. There's the silence that cares, the one that says, "I'll calm down and answer when I can answer well." There's the necessary silence, the one that puts distance to think. And there's the silence used by the adult who doesn't know how to manage discomfort, the one that hides, the one that punishes, the one that withdraws presence so you'll run after them. Of all of them, the cruelest is the one that leaves you in infinite suspense, because it turns you into a detective of signs and makes you believe that if you interpret well, you can avoid the loss. You can't. It isn't your job to translate anyone's cowardice. I'll propose something. Instead of filling the silence with your explanations, let's learn to listen to it. Silence has grammar. It says, "I can't." It says, "I don't want to." It says, "I don't know how to be with you without hurting you." It says, "I don't choose myself, so I don't know how to choose." And it also says, "I don't deserve you, but I won't let you go either." Learning to listen to silence is a way to come home. And coming home isn't isolating yourself. It's recognizing yourself in the mirror and deciding that if someone wants you, they'll have to want the woman you really are, not the version you rehearse so they'll stay. I remember Laura, 36, brilliant, independent, funny. "He ignores me because he's very busy," she told me once. And yes, he worked a lot, but he replied quickly to others. He laughed on social media with strangers. Priority is measured in actions, not pretty excuses. When someone ignores you, they're not always saying, "You're not worth it." Sometimes they're saying, "I'm not up to this kind of bond." And I know it hurts, but it's useful data. It's as if life were doing you an uncomfortable favor, showing you what part of you still buys crumbs when you're hungry for bread. Imagine a table. On top, served plates. Underneath, crumbs. Choosing the table isn't arrogance, it's emotional hygiene. When you accept crumbs repeatedly, you train your heart to settle for less, and not only in love. You start bargaining with your hours of sleep, your energy, your attention. You postpone the therapy that would help you, the walk with your friends, the nap that restores you. You chase a notification as if it were oxygen. I'll tell you something with love and firmness. If a message can define your day, what's missing isn't that person, it's your center. Don't confuse this firmness with hardness. I'm not asking you to turn to stone. I'm asking you to feel your edges again. Your edges are that intimate line that says, "This is as far as I go without betraying myself." Without edges, you spill. With edges, you choose. And when you choose, solitude appears. Not punitive solitude, but workshop solitude, the space where you rebuild yourself with your own hands. That solitude isn't empty, it's full of you. Sometimes we flee outer silence because we fear the inner noise. And inner noise quiets when you dare to listen to yourself with patience, without judgment, the way you'd listen to someone you truly love. I want you to think about an ordinary day in your life. The alarm rings. You check your phone. Nothing. What do you do with that moment? That's where your freedom begins. You can turn it into proof of your supposed lack of worth, or into a practical decision. I shower, make coffee, walk 10 minutes, tidy my desk, finish that email I'm dreading, put my favorite face to the world. Dignity doesn't wait for someone to reply to show up. Dignity puts its shoes on and goes out. Not because it doesn't hurt, but because it won't hand-pain the government of the day. When I was a child, I believed love was that person who arrived late, but eventually arrived. As an adult, I understood that love is the one who shows up early for what matters, even if sometimes late to the trivial. Love doesn't clench your stomach, it loosens it. Love doesn't make you recheck screens, it brings you back to books and the street. Love doesn't turn you into a contortionist. It teaches you to feel steady in your chair. That's why the silence that deforms your routine isn't mature love. It's anxiety dressed up as romanticism. If they ignore you, ask yourself, what does my body need right now? Sometimes what you call, I need an answer, is, in reality, I need water, I need to move, I need to cry for 5 minutes without justification, I need to call my sister, I need hot soup, I need to turn off the screen and look at a tree, I need to finish. What I started to remember, I can complete things even if someone leaves loose threads with me. There are pains that drop 2 points when you take care of the simple things. I want us to talk about the pride trap. Many women stay where they down, aren't chosen because they confuse leaving with losing. If I go, he'll have won. No. Stepping away when you're being ignored isn't punishment or revenge. It's self-care. It's not about pretending you don't care. It's about not mortgaging your peace. Pride fights for the final scene. Dignity gets up in the middle of the movie and says, "This script isn't for me." And yes, you'll leave the theater with a hollow in your chest. But that hollow is space for something that does want you. It's not resignation. It's openness. There's also the reverse trap, chasing explanations as if they were balm. You sit with that person. They look at you. They say, I wasn't ready. I didn't know how to say it. I was afraid of hurting you. And for a moment you feel relief. But the structure remains the same. Relief alone doesn't change habits. And you're not here to manage temporary reliefs. You're here to build a life that doesn't require you, to invalidate yourself every 3 days. If the explanation doesn't come with different actions, it's just a more delicate form of silence. There are silences that feel like punishment. It's called affective blocking, and many adults use it because as children, they learn to protect themselves like this, withdrawing presence when something hurts. It's not your mission to rehabilitate anyone. You can understand their story and, at the same time, decide you won't become the therapist of someone who doesn't choose you as a partner. Love that lasts doesn't make you an emotional nurse all year long. Love that lasts invites you to build a common language, where both can recognize anxiety, name it, and choose to behave differently. If you're holding the language alone, it isn't a language, it's a monologue. At this point, you may ask yourself, how not to repeat patterns. I won't give you a decalogue because your life doesn't fit into a list, but I do want to leave you with an image. Imagine your heart is a house. For years, you left the door open to see if someone would come in and stay, and they came in. Some cared, others made noise. Someone painted the walls a color you detest. Today, you learn something else, to open with discernment. Not because you've become distrustful, but because now you know how to distinguish between someone who enters with hands and someone who enters with boxes. Hands hold, boxes invade. Those who arrive in a rush usually arrive with boxes. Those who arrive with presence bring hands. Silence teaches you that too. who turns to smoke and who comes back to knock. Don't ignore the mirror silence offers you. What does that waiting say about you? Sometimes it isn't love. It's fear of not finding something better. It's wounded pride. It's habit. It's the chemical latch of an intermittent dynamic. Intermittence is addictive. When something appears and disappears, the brain releases dopamine in waves and convinces you that next time, yes. Next time rarely is yes. You aren't weak for having gotten hooked. Intermittence is designed to trap you. You are strong for listening to this and deciding you will unhook yourself little by little with tenderness toward yourself. I want to tell you a brief story. Marta stopped writing after 9 at night. Not out of pride, but for hygiene. She said, "At this hour, everything I say sounds like begging. I don't want to beg." At first, her night was a waiting room. She showered with the phone on the edge, rehearsed arguments for tomorrow, dreamed conversations that wouldn't happen. A week later, she discovered the shower was a place to sing, that the phone could stay in the living room, that sleep improves when you don't bargain with ghosts. The other person wrote back. She answered in the morning, after coffee. She didn't play hard to get. She took responsibility for who she wanted to be. I'd like you to gift yourself a minimal promise. Neither epic nor grandiose. A small, repeatable, concrete promise. For example, I will not ask twice for the same basic thing. Or, I won't justify disrespect with the word stress. Or, I won't use someone else's silence as a measure of my value. You'll fail. Of course. You'll catch yourself repeating what you learned 1,000 times. Don't punish yourself. Adjust. The woman you are isn't measured by one night. She's measured by the tempo you choose in the long run. And a dignified tempo always returns you to yourself. You ask me what to do when silence hurts physically. Anxiety has an entry door and an exit. It enters through thought. It exits through the body. If you need it only with ideas, it keeps spinning. Let it out through the body. Walk, shake your hands, relax your jaw, exhale longer than you inhale. Drink water, free write 2 ugly, unfiltered pages, throw them away. Call a voice that loves you, even if only to talk. Nonsense. It isn't trivial. You're teaching your system that, even if someone doesn't show up, you do show up for you. That consistency builds a floor. And the floor holds the day you finally decide to leave. Silence can also be your ally. Yes, it sounds strange, but listen. When you choose not to reply right away, you give yourself a pause where your girl self doesn't rule and your adult self decides. That pause keeps you from writing the encyclopedia of self-abandonment. It prevents the sorry for asking, the I know you're busy but the just wanted to know if wanting to know is legitimate. Asking for clarification is too. What you don't deserve is to implore for a crumb of presence as if it were a luxury. In that pause, remember, you are also the person who can choose whom you answer, when, and how. Not to play games, but to listen to yourself. There are silences that announce endings. Hold them without theatrics. It hurts, but a clear ending is an act of mercy. It opens space, clears the emotional schedule, leaves room for the friendship that will make you laugh without checking the time, for the project you postponed because of the plot, for the rest that gives you your face back. Sometimes we think an ending leaves us empty, and it's the opposite. It frees us to fill life with things that actually have a pulse. No external closure will give you the peace that a well-done internal closure gives. Closing from the inside isn't denial, it's owning. This is how it was, this is how I felt, this is what I choose now. Writing it helps, saying it out loud does too. And if the silence isn't an ending, but a habit of the other person, ask yourself whether you want to educate, wait, or step away. Educating without reciprocity burns you out. Waiting without clear agreements dims you. Stepping away respectfully protects you. Not everyone moves at your pace, and that's okay. Not everyone can inhabit the same forms of bond, and that's okay. What isn't okay is you disappearing in the attempt to make it fit. There is a way to be with someone that doesn't hurt, the one in which neither of you betrays yourselves to stay. Think about how you speak to yourself when the message doesn't arrive. There's a clue there. If you call yourself ridiculous, annoying, dramatic, you're repeating old voices. Your adult can answer differently. You're anxious, sweetheart. Come on, let's sit down. Don't ridicule your need for contact. Give yourself contact with you. Self-tenderness is long-term medicine. It's the voice that holds you when you fall into the same loop again, the one that lifts you without humiliating you, the one that reminds you nobody rehabilitates in a day, but that every day counts. I don't want you to turn this talk into a new demand. Perfectionism is noise too. There's no correct way out of the silence trap, only an honest direction, inward. Today, choose one gesture. Reply later. Don't reply where it has already become disrespect. Go to sleep at a decent hour even if the message isn't there. Eat without your phone when you feel vulnerable. Walk 10 minutes after the call that didn't come. Those gestures, repeated, give you back ownership of your time, which is the most concrete way to regain power. I also want to speak to the part of you that still believes, if they really loved me, they'd seek me out. Maybe yes, or maybe they can't, or maybe they don't know how. The point isn't to guess. The point is to decide who you want to be in the face of that uncertainty. Many times we don't choose for fear of being wrong. You'd be surprised by the peace that comes from being wrong in favor of your dignity. Choosing to step away and, if later a new truth appears, you'll decide whether to open up again. That flexibility isn't weakness. It's maturity. It lets you change without betraying yourself. It's often said that whoever ignores you doesn't deserve you. Sometimes it's true, sometimes it's simplistic. I prefer this. Whoever ignores you is telling you the kind of relationship they know how to offer. If it's not the relationship you want to live, honor the information and act. Don't turn facts into a fairy tale or the fairy tale into crucifixion. Adult life looks more like a kitchen than an altar. Ingredients, heat, timing, patience, and, above all, the decision not to cook with what makes you sick. Before we close, I want you to do a small exercise with me, right now. Gently close your eyes, if you can. Bring one hand to your chest and the other to your abdomen. Silently name 3 things you can feel: the fabric on your skin, the weight of your body on the chair, the cool or warm air in your nose. Now name 3 things you're grateful for today, even if they're small. That coffee, that friend who sent a meme, that song that didn't let you down. Lastly, repeat a simple phrase to yourself. I'm not going to put my life on pause for an answer that doesn't come. Breathe 2 more times. Open your eyes. I propose a practice for this week. Make your mornings yours before the world claims you. Don't look at your phone until you've done one small thing that is yours. Make the bed, stretch your arms, drink water, write 3 lines. Not because you're made of iron, but because you're human and you need rituals. Rituals defend against intermittence, shape your days, remind you that life doesn't stop even if a chat does. That consistency teaches your heart there's something bigger than the waiting. If this talk stirs you, it's because you're alive. If it angers you, maybe it touched a place where you were mistreated, and you blamed silence so you wouldn't say, I was hurt. If it soothes you, breathe. It's not magic, it's order. And if it makes you sad, don't push it away. Cry, write, talk, walk. Crying is also a form of response. Empty the glass to fill it with good water. I'll say it without poetry. You deserve conversation, not translation. Presence, not crumbs. Clarity, not suspense. I've seen women reclaim their lives after years of being ignored in the name of love. It didn't happen overnight. It went like this: a discreet boundary, a nap without a phone, a no without rehearsal, a yes to dinner with friends, a Saturday without checking the last time online, a new playlist, a underlined book, a Sunday off social media, a message left unsent because it was no longer needed, a door that closed almost without noise, and one day, without ceremony, peace. Not the peace of not feeling, the peace of feeling without disappearing. If silence has become an answer in your life, let your answer be you. You'll make mistakes, you'll regret a message, You'll check at 2 in the morning again. You'll think you've gone backwards. It doesn't matter. Return. Return, return, return. Return to the woman who waits for you at home with the lights on. Return to your hands, which know how to cook you calm. Return to your feet, which learn to walk without asking permission. Return to your voice, which can say no without shouting and yes without fear. Return to your calendar, to the book you left halfway, to the music that lifts the back of your neck. Return to your laugh, even if it's quiet. Return, even if silence tries to call you again. Especially if it tries. Because the greatest lesson silence leaves you is this: when the other doesn't show up, you do. And when you show up with consistency, respect, and tenderness, the world changes its sound. Then silence is no longer an abyss. It's a space you choose how to inhabit. Sometimes you'll inhabit it with rest, sometimes with work, sometimes with song. And when there is real conversation, the silence between sentences will mean something else. It will be pause, not punishment. It will be breath, not threat. It will be the place where two people who do choose each other listen together to what they don't yet know how to say. If you're here, it isn't a coincidence. You're taking yourself seriously. And even if it doesn't seem like it, that is already an answer. Your answer. Today you won't kneel before a screen to beg for a glance. Today you'll lift your face and hold your own gaze. Because you have yourself, because you choose yourself. Because you learned, through silences, that no one will speak for you if you don't speak with yourself first. Thank you for staying until the end. I hope these words keep you company on the next night, when the phone stays still. Not as an order, but as a hand on your back. You're on your way. And on that path, even silence, well listened to, becomes music.